Cannabis Minority Report podcast powered by the National Cannabis Industry Association. I am your host, Khadijah Adams, founder of Grow Get That Money. We are a business empowerment coaching and consultancy firm. And I'm also the founder of the Green Street Academy, where we teach you the basics of investing in cannabis stocks. The goal of the Minority Report, you guys, our podcast is really designed to share weekly news updates about minorities in the cannabis space, right? Or CBD and hemp. We interview minority entrepreneurs, minority-owned companies that support social equity, even social equity applicants, as well as a host of other cannabis industry leaders and pioneers in the space. So joining me today is my very special guest, powerhouse African-American women really doing their thing up in Michigan, Ms. Rebecca Colett and Latoyia Rucker, founders of Calyxeum. When we return from our commercial break, we'll catch you up on the latest news about these minorities in the cannabis space, and we'll also learn more about Rebecca and Latoyia's journey in the cannabis space. But if you are watching us right now on Facebook, Instagram, or wherever you're watching us, be sure to share the link, share with your friends so that they can join in, because you don't want to miss Rebecca Colett and Latoyia Rucker. You guys, they are making it happen over in Michigan, and you definitely don't want to miss that. So we'll be back right after these messages.
I am the cannabis industry.
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 We are the cannabis industry.
And we are proving that regulation works.
Hey, you guys, we are back. And guess what? We're back with the latest news. I'm super excited to let you guys know that the nation's youngest Black cannabis dispensary owner celebrated his 1 year anniversary, Elevate. Okay, so on October 15th, they had an amazing first anniversary. Among many of their milestones and achievements, you know, they opened up their doors in the height of the pandemic. Athol is actually located in Massachusetts. And what I really love about this is that the CEO, Seun Adidije, bet on himself. He took only $50,000. And back then, that was still a lot of money, but it was enough to come into the industry. And let me tell you, he took a bet on himself. And guess what? And he has opened up many of stores, and him celebrating the fact that, you know, this is his 1 year anniversary, when there were people out there who said he couldn't do it, shouldn't do it, and all that good stuff. And so now, you know, he set out to prove himself right, but not prove them wrong, but prove himself right. And I'm super excited about it. But one of the things that he had mentioned, he said, while 2020 was an incredibly challenging year for most, we are grateful for the support that we've received from the community in our first year. Our success this year means so much to us. And with that, we have every intention to double our efforts to mentor and help others build their legacy within the industry. So I love the fact that not only did he take it by the reins and he just did the impossible, right? But he's also reaching back and giving other people a hand up in our community so that they too can create generational wealth and build a legacy in this industry. So hats off to you, Seun Adidije. And by the way, he also sits on the board of the National Cannabis Industry Association. Next in the news, so we want to report, there's a report that shows decreased percentage of women and minority executives in the cannabis space. So the MJ Biz Daily reported on October 4th that women and minorities in the cannabis space, according to the statistics, that our numbers have decreased, right? So in 2019 through 2021, we went from 29.8% all the way to 22.1%. Honestly, I think it's a little bit lower than that. But likewise, the percentage of people of color in executive positions decreased as well. Okay, only 13.1% of those positions are held by people of color compared to 28% in 2019. Now, this report was actually written with data collected from various governmental agencies, as well as statistics gathered by the MJ Biz Daily surveys that they sent out. So we want to encourage you guys here to look that up, read that report, because there's got to be a reason why, you know, the percentages of women in C-suite positions have failed. And honestly, I'm of the opinion that we don't collaborate enough. And so collaboration versus competition wins all the times, ladies. Guess what? Girls compete, but women empower. So my advice and suggestion to you is to get it together, come together, and let's collaborate, okay, and get some stuff done. And then lastly in the news today, a new partnership hopes to create greater cannabis equity for people of color up in Virginia. So as marijuana laws change in the Commonwealth earlier this year, organizations are coming together to make this completely new legal business more accessible and equitable for the communities impacted most by its prohibition in the past. So we're going to keep an eye on them. We're going to come back and report even more. We had a video for you, and so hopefully we'll get a chance to play that video at some point in time. But for right now, you guys, we're going to keep an eye on Virginia and see exactly what's going on as it relates, you know, to the impact that they want to help, right, or have in the industry. So when we return, you guys, we're going to be speaking to Rebecca Colett and Latoyia Rucker, founders of Calyxeum. So if you're watching us on Facebook, now's a great time to hit that share button. I don't know where it is, but wherever it is on your screen, just hit it, tag some of your friends, and get them to this station right now. We'll be back right after these messages.
We need to make sure that we get minorities and African Americans, people that have been affected by the war on drugs, indigenous people, brown and black people holistically needs to be a part of this conversation. With the help of NCIA and being an Evergreen member, we believe that we could push this agenda forward. Cannabis business owners, entrepreneurs that really see the bigger picture to say, let's push this agenda forward. We can't do this without you. We need to make sure that our voices are heard.
We are back with Rebecca Colett, Latoyia Rucker, founders of Calyxeum. So Calyxeum, for those of you who do not know, is a female minority-owned operation located in Detroit, Michigan. Both have degrees, you guys. MBAs. They have over 10 years experience in the Michigan growing cannabis. Latoyia Rucker, for instance, she has taken the lead along with her business partner and Rebecca Colett. So I'm super excited to introduce them to you. I know Latoyia is an experienced entrepreneur. She's also an educator and a master gardener and native Detroiter. And she's also been featured on Detroit's local WJR and NPR statewide, along with her business partner, Rebecca Colett, who is also an experienced entrepreneur, technology professional, as well as a cannabis advocate and native Detroiter. So Rebecca has also worked alongside the Michigan Regulatory Agency during the development of their social equity program. And they're also the founders, you guys, of the Detroit Cannabis Project. So Rebecca and Latoyia, welcome to the Cannabis Minority Report. Good to have you on.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Khadijah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, can you tell us more about you and your journey into the cannabis space?
Yeah, so for me, cannabis has really been a labor of love. It started off as my grandmother suffering from a lot of chronic pain, and it just so happened that Michigan was starting to regulate cannabis through medical cannabis. So we decided to get her a card, and I became her caregiver. And since then, I began to grow, began to infuse the medicine into her food, and it really did help her quality of life. She recently passed away, but I know that cannabis played an integral part in just allowing her to enjoy life, enjoy her family, and just really be whole. So we believe in like holistic medicine, holistic plant health. And that's really what Calyxeum is. I'm the COO, like you said, Khadijah, I'm from Detroit. And we really just want to represent for our city, represent for Black women in the cannabis industry.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing, and sorry to hear about your grandmother. It's an amazing story. What about you, Rebecca? Tell us about your story and your cannabis journey.
Yes. Well, hello guys. I'm happy to be here. My cannabis journey is very similar to Latoya, whereas a family member's illness encouraged me to explore the cannabis industry. So my dad, who was a veteran, was sick at the time, and we wanted to explore some other options other than opioids because they weren't doing much of anything. So I started exploring cannabis and the effects, the positive benefits. And then, me being a business person, I started looking at the business side of cannabis, going to cannabis conferences and realizing that oftentimes I was the only Black woman at the whole conference or in this certain room. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've been smoking weed for a long time. This is not how cannabis looks.
Right.
So I just started getting really passionate about the disparities and the numbers on the business side, as well as access to medicine. So I just became very passionate, lobbying in the DMV in California. Then I came back home to Michigan and started Calyxeum with Latoya. And we really started Calyxeum because we saw a gap in the cannabis industry. There's a lot of corporate cannabis brands, and there's a lot of stoner brands, Green 420, rapper this, rapper that. But we really didn't see a brand that was for professionals, attorney, doctors, consultants use cannabis. And we wanted to start a brand for those professionals who choose to use cannabis, whether medicinally or recreationally. So yeah, there goes Calyxeum.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And then, just reading your background and knowing you both, I'm just amazed. And you're constantly amazing me every single day. It's like no let up, if you will. Like you're constantly pushing, and that's what it takes as an experienced entrepreneur. And you both are experienced entrepreneurs. And so, did you have any concerns entering the industry, as experienced entrepreneurs outside of the industry? Did you have any concerns entering the industry? And if so, what were those concerns and why?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, like you stated, Khadijah, I'm in education. So there's this stigma that comes with cannabis and, lazy, stoner, illegal, you can go to prison, like those things still exist. And so for me, like Rebecca said, we really want to focus on the professional side of cannabis, not necessarily glorifying the rapper, the sex kitten, all these images that were initially pushed upon people. So we have a huge task in trying to change people's minds and educate people. And so, yeah, it was really scary at first. And, Rebecca has kind of helped me because she was an advocate. And so she showed me a different side. But in Michigan, as a caregiver, the platform that we had, it still was attached to that stoner culture. So, I've really just been focusing on, again, showing the professional side, showing that I am an entrepreneur. And instead of being ashamed of the fact that, I'm in cannabis, kind of getting more in front of it and saying, hey, this is what we're doing, and we're educating people, we're doing things for the community. So it's not always what it used to look like.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And that is amazing because you're absolutely right. I mean, Calyxeum is so professional. Like I would, just your branding alone, I would absolutely sit it on my desk if I was in corporate America. And your gummies are phenomenal, by the way. Yes, I love your gummies. So tell us about Calyxeum and tell us why it was created.
This is Latoya's question. What does Calyxeum mean, Latoya?
Yes.
Yeah, so me coming from a science background, Rebecca coming from her tech background, we wanted to create something that appealed to both people. And so Calyxeum is a play off of calyx, which the plant itself is female and male, but the plant that we smoke is female. The plant that we love is female. So calyx is a part of the anatomy of the cannabis plant, and Calyxeum is a play off of that.
I love that. So two females, African American, and we have a female plant. So let me ask you, this is a question I have to throw in there because when I describe the male and the female plant, I always say, well, the male plant doesn't get you high, but the female plant, it has some psychoactive stuff going on. So, is that a play against women, or how does that benefit women?
I mean, I think it totally benefits women because it really shows the power that we have and the power of the cannabis plant and how it really is used to heal. Now, of course, in everyday life, just like, we need men to be here and pollinate things. And that's what the male cannabis plant is really good for. It's good for pollination. But other than that, it's all about the women.
There you go. I love that. Okay. And I love the way Rebecca just so eloquently pass the mic. So you both are heavily involved in the community. Tell us more about your community service and what the organization is doing to strengthen the community.
All right, Khadijah, it's my turn now. So one of the reasons we founded Calyxeum is because other cannabis companies, they weren't really doing things in the community. They say a lot of beautiful things on social media about what community means to them, but there's no action behind their words. So Calyxeum also has a nonprofit arm, Calyxeum Catalyst, which is a 501c3. We have 4 program pillars. We have an active community garden where we reoccurringly have harvests in our community and we give out free vegetables to our neighbors. We are rebuilding some dilapidated homes. Right now, we're working on about 4 blocks of them. We also are starting an after-school STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math for ages 10 through 17 in the city of Detroit. And lastly, we are developing workforce development programs in partnership with the city of Detroit right now. So while we are very passionate about encouraging minority inclusion in cannabis entrepreneurship, we do understand everybody is not going to be an owner and operator. And some people may just want to work at a cannabis company. But when we look at current cannabis companies, even their workforce is not diverse. Mm-hmm. Latoyia and I tour some of our partners' grows all the time. And I can count on one hand out of all the grows I have visited in the country, how many times I saw a Black person there in the grow, being a master grower, doing extracts. I oftentimes see them in dispensaries, but we're never in the facilities. So Latoyia and I are very passionate about, well, our community needs this education. It's a reason why we have the desire to do these types of jobs, but we don't have the knowledge and the skills and the resume. So we've decided just to build programs and provide education. So one is workforce development, and now we have a incubator too. So our incubator, we also have a partnership with the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan. So the incubator really encourages entrepreneurship, minority inclusion in the cannabis space. And we also have these job training programs coming up. So long-winded answer to your question that the community is everything to Calyxeum. One of our sayings is Calyxeum is community. And we never wanted the community to be an afterthought, like, oh yeah, maybe after year 5 and we become a multi-million-dollar company, then we'll give back. No, as we are building, we are giving back at the same time. So community is really, really our backbone. It's the reason really why we exist.
I love that, because as you grow, you're lifting, and you're not just lifting, right? You're lifting the community, and you're lifting other entrepreneurs, and you're re-educating our communities, that's been most impacted by the war on drugs. I love the fact that you're growing, you have a community garden, and that you give away vegetables and, to the community. And giving back that way, I mean, you can only go up, man. You can only go up. So I'm really proud of you. Thank you so much for that. So let me ask you this question now. As African-American women, right, in this industry, what obstacles have you faced and overcome? And what will you tell other women seeking to enter this industry?
Rebecca, you want to go first?
be persistent. Oftentimes you will encounter roadblocks that are intended to be just that, a roadblock and a delay. But be persistent and have those goals. And also, oftentimes in the cannabis space, often around women, there's a bit of jealousy and a bit of, negative attitudes. And that's where persistence kind of comes into place, because as you grow and build, there will be naysayers that are going around saying, oh, they really doing that much. They not really doing this. That's a lie, But if you have your focus, your persistence, you have your goals, nobody can tear you away from that. And have a why. In the cannabis industry, your why cannot just be, I want to make money. It has to be a why with some morals attached to it. For me, I have seen cannabis heal people in my family. I have seen cannabis heal my life. And I just want to get that plant out there. I want this plant not to be illegal. That's my why. So no matter whom, no matter what DM, article, no matter what nobody is going to say, no matter what, whenever, I'm persistent on my why and on my mission. So that's really kind of, if I could give anybody some advice, especially a woman of color upcoming in this industry, those would definitely be my pointers.
I love that, because, people gonna talk anyway, right? Whether you're doing good or bad. So it's kind of like give them something to talk about. And I think Calyxeum definitely gives them something to talk about. They just what I call undercover fans anyway. What about you, Latoyia? What are your views on that?
Well, I think it's important to really reach out to the people that are in your network, your friends, your family. Finding resources is so important in this industry. That's really like the main thing. And making friends, making as many friends, making as many allies as possible, and collaborating with each other. That sometimes can be a barrier, just because, again, it's just something about the female energy. But if you can kind of push past those things, then I think you'll see your greatness on the other side. So for us, we've really been reaching out to women like you, Khadijah, for support, for mentorship, and for guidance. And so I think that's really important.
Wow. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think you all are doing a majorly good job, and not just for yourselves, but for everybody who comes in contact with Calyxeum. So thank you for that. So what are some of your most important needs right now?
I think Latoyia kind of pointed it out a little bit, is really resources. In the cannabis industry, it's a very tight-knit community. So you start to build really kind of like a Angie's List, if you will, of the cannabis space. So who to work with for attorneys and architects and consultants and packaging companies, etc. And that's really, it's really been a challenge for Latoyia and us, Latoyia and I, as we are building and scaling Calyxeum, is we've definitely had roadblocks of, some of the vendors that we've hired, have turned out negatively, and possibly because we didn't really do our due diligence, or possibly because they didn't come from a reputable recommendation. So we have just been going through some bumps, really trying to build our team, whether that's internally or externally, with construction people, and who do we really trust for an accountant, etc. So I think, when you're in the cannabis space, you have to be even more protective, of your business, of your IP, of your ideals, versus if we were running a restaurant, for instance. Mm-hmm. So it just has taken us a while to really identify the people who we can trust and have our best interests at heart, because the industry is just so full of bad actors, if you will. So that's just been a challenge for us. We've definitely encountered some great mentors, some great resources along the way, but at the same time, some not so great ones. So really is a need to be connected to the right people. because I feel as if when you're connected to the right people, other things follow, other opportunities follow. So that's really top priority for me right now.
Yeah, I love that because it's so true that there's so many different, there's a lot of people coming into this industry, and a lot of them are coming in with the wrong intent. And, being able to weed out the weeds, no pun intended, right? But being able to weed out the weeds and actually get to the wheat of things, right, is really important. And, it's good that you're still standing, that you were able to overcome those obstacles, whether you went over them, went under them, went around them. You ladies have done a phenomenal job just laying the foundation, not just for yourselves, but for other people. And I admire that. Want to have you guys back on the show, but tell us, how can people actually reach out to you? How can they connect with Calyxeum? Is that social media, website, or is there a phone number or email address?
So definitely we would love for you to follow us on Instagram. That has really been a huge platform for us. So Calyxeum_Detroit is a great way to connect with us. You can also reach out to us on our website, www.calyxeum.com. And just stay tuned for all the fun stuff and awesome things we got going. We're going to be in Vegas for these conferences, MJ Biz and MJ Brands. So holler at us via email if you want to, do something while we're in Vegas.
Awesome. We totally appreciate you and Rebecca for joining us. Thank you so much. We'd like to actually get back with you in the future to see how you're progressing. Definitely want to know how it is building those 4 blocks, redoing those dilapidated houses and your community garden as well. Unfortunately, you won't see me at the MJ BizCon. I decided to pull out. A lot of people, this whole COVID thing has really scared the hell out of me. So be careful out there, mask up. Okay, and do your thing. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, you guys, ladies and gentlemen, when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about, I'll close it up with Calyxeum, but we're going to go over some of the NCIA's updates. And then, but for right now, you guys, we want to go to Detroit. Remember when I was in Detroit and we were interviewing? And so we interviewed a young lady named Linda Hendricks. She is a Michigan social equity licensee who actually came in through Rebecca and Latoyia's Detroit Cannabis Project. So super excited about that. Vince, let's roll the tape. Hey, so how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful today.
Linda, it is so good to have you on the Cannabis Minority Report. So we hear that you are a social equity applicant here in Detroit, Michigan. Tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So it all started off by applying through the state of Michigan through the social equity program, was granted that, and then applying through the city of Detroit and becoming a certified Detroit legacy applicant.
Yes. Well, I'm loving that. So when you say legacy, tell us about what that is and what that means.
Sure. So the Detroit Legacy Program, there's, I guess you say, steps that you needed to be able to, there were requirements. So you had to have lived in the city for at least 15 of the last 30 years. If you were convicted for any type of marijuana case, you didn't have to have as many. I want to say maybe 5 of the last 30 years. So they wanted to make sure that those who had resided in the city, those who had resided in social equity areas, were able to have those opportunities to get into the adult use market within the city of Detroit.
Very good. Yeah. So that's a feat in itself. So congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
So tell us about your company and your business and what you're bringing to the cannabis industry.
Sure. So the business is called Flight 313. 313 is the area code for Detroit.
Yes.
And what it's all about is the experience. The experience of going to a provisioning center to purchasing the cannabis, as well as being able to consume it next door in a consumption lounge. And it's all about, like, if you think about going to Disney World, if you stay on a Disney resort, it's all about the experience. You got Mickey everywhere. You have people saying, you know, isn't it a magical morning? So it's just about that experience that you're having. So basically, when you come into Flight 313, it's like you're taking a flight. You're taking a flight somewhere. So you come in, you're saying, like, you know what, I'm feeling really down. You know, I don't know, I wish I was in Jamaica. And, you know, the staff members would say, you know what, we got something for you, you know, so try this out, you know, this will, you know, relax you. It'll just have you enjoy and, you know, get through whatever you need to get through. And then if you wanted to consume it, then you can go next door into the consumption lounge. And there, depending on what it is, it could be, you know, a special day where we'll say, you know, it's, you know, flight to Jamaica, and then it could be reggae music. It could just get you all into the feeling of just having this experience of taking a trip somewhere.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to hit you up with that Flight 313 and give me a first class seat, lady.
Exactly, exactly.
Awesome. So tell us how your experience has been being here at the Midwest Conference and educationally speaking.
Yeah, sure. So my profession, I am an internal auditor. / accountant. So coming here and then even just getting into the cannabis industry, it feels really good because it feels like, you know, I'm learning again. I'm not necessarily at the table and telling other people what to do. I'm now soaking in everything, getting the information, figuring out, okay, how can we, you know, make this business, you know, really viable as well as something that people may actually want.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to speak with other people and kind of sharing some of our ideas on what we're thinking. You know, we've been getting great feedback, and as well as you know, sitting in a lot of the different sessions, learning about the different, you know, ways to the accounting structures, which I will be doing, but as well as for the state of Michigan, the new micro business license, the Class A that's coming up, you know, so which kind of thinks like, okay, so, you know, is this something that we can kind of veer off and maybe keep everything kind of in-house with what we're trying to do? So it's just a lot of things that, you know, even though, you know, my day job profession may be something totally different, I'm able to, you know, learn and talk to other people on how we can kind of make this fit. And then as well as, like I said, make our business, when we hopefully finally open up, you know, become this really viable business.
Awesome.
Something that the consumer wants.
I love that, and a lot of educational value here in these in this conference. The NCIA does such a great job at that.
Yes, they do.
So we're
Absolutely.
excited that this is one of our first since the pandemic. I want to thank you so much for being with us. So tell our audience, how can they reach out to you? How can they subscribe to Flight 313 and really be ready for that launch? And so they'll be ready to take off right there with you.
Yes, yes. So if you're, you know, you want to get that first class ticket and get that boarding pass ready, you can visit DetroitFlight313.com. We also have an Instagram page at DetroitFlight313, and just reach out to us. Let us know that you're interested, be it investing or, you know, just want to know when we actually launch off and take off, and you can cruise away with us.
Oh, so sounds like a plan. I am excited about that. And listen, we want to have you guys back up in 2022.
Awesome.
Want to check on your progress.
Yes.
So we will definitely be hitting you up. Thank you for being with us today, Linda. So I was interviewing Rebecca, Colett, and Latoyia Rucker, the founders of Calyxeum. You guys, it was so amazing. I love Rebecca's eyelashes. We were talking as we went off. You know, some of these things that we record, I asked Vince, hey, Vince is our producer, by the way. Y'all got to give him a big heads up, a big clap or whatever, right? Because he's the man behind the scenes that really makes this happen and really pulls us off. So hats off to you, Vince Chandler. But I was talking to Rebecca about her eyelashes, man. I love her eyelashes. Like, I tried to get her eyelashes. So when I grow up, I'm gonna be just like Rebecca. But listen, they are women who are really putting their money where their mouths are. Not only are they doing that, y'all, there's so many people out there that's saying that this is, you know, they want to give to the community, kind of like what Rebecca says, but then you don't see them out in the community really giving back. But for Calyxeum, I want you guys to follow them because they are actually, they're walking the talk, okay? And the proof is in the pudding, right? Because cream always rises to the top. Okay, so we know what's going on for real in Detroit. So y'all keep your head up and keep your heads up and your heart strong. So thanks again for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, check out the NCIA's member blog. That's really important. That's information about our members here at the NCIA. And then we also do industry insights that also includes our members and spotlights them, primarily because we want to show support for our members, okay? And many of them have joined us through the social equity scholarship program. So don't forget to download the NCIA's mobile app. Many of you guys will be at the NJ BizCon, so you still want to get some highlights as well. I know a few of our members at the NCIA will also be joining. So we ask that you be really, really safe. Wear your mask, whether you've been vaccinated or not, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you protect yourself and protect others in the process. And also join us this year, the NCIA's Cannabis Business Summit. It takes place December 15th through December 17th in San Francisco, California. And yes, your girl will be there. CannabisBusinessSummit.com. You can go there for tickets. CannabisBusinessSummit.com. And then special shout out to our DEI program sponsors, the Tahoe Wellness Center. Thank you very much. We appreciate you, as well as the law offices of Omar Figueroa. If you have not looked up Omar Figueroa, you guys have got to look him up. Love this man's energy. We appreciate you so much. And then also the Copper State Farms. Thank you very much. We appreciate your support. Remember, you guys, that the mission of the DEIC committee is to educate, is to advocate, engage, and empower the community of cannabis and its members by cultivating partnerships with other nonprofit organizations with similar goals, providing resources that create and sustain an environment that is not only inclusive, but equitable and diverse. We are committed to building a culture that respects our members and also celebrates their contributions as we all work together to strengthen all of our communities in the cannabis space. So if you know someone that you would like to see interviewed on the Cannabis Minority Report podcast, then hit a sister up. info@KhadijahAdams.com. That's info@KhadijahAdams.com. Until next Monday, peace, love, and hippie stuff.
NCIA's Cannabis Minority Report is a product of the National Cannabis Industry Association and NCIA's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. We are hosted every week by Khadijah Adams. Our executive producers are Aaron Smith and Vince Chandler. We are directed by Vince Chandler and produced by Bethany Moore. Please, please, please find out everything you can about the growing and equitable cannabis industry at thecannabisindustry.org.